Happening right now on Sports Extra, where the heck did the summer go? School is back in session, so let's see what we can learn in the next 30 minutes.
You know, some of the guys acted more excited than I probably did, so it was cool, you know, guys pulling for me and cheering me on, and yeah, just a special moment.
No matter what the external expectations are, they should never be higher than what your internal expectations are of yourself.
Welcome back to college football. We're also going to see a Falcons game this week, if you can believe it, and the Braves spend an extra day in Tennessee thanks to a whole lot of rain. It is all gas, no breaks on Sports Extra, and it starts right now. Welcome into Sports Extra, everybody. Got my good friend Joe Patrick here from 92.9 The Game. We're going to be joined by Grant McCauley and Gabe Burns later on in the show. So happy that you're here, my friend. I see you a lot in Flowery Branch, but it's nice to be in the air conditioning.
That's right. It's training camp season, so we're all trying to get inside as much as possible when we can.
You can tell by the tanned shoulders that I've been outside of training camp. It's been a whole lot of fun, and we've got another week of camp in the books. Pads are on, so that means we're getting closer to the real thing. Mm-hmm. Real thing if you want to count a preseason game on Friday against the Detroit Lions. But let's talk about QB1 to start us off. Michael Penix Jr., there's a lot of attention on him, of course, because he's starting for the first time in his NFL career as a quarterback. However, as we know with young quarterbacks, they can struggle sometimes in training camp. Up and down week for Mike. What have you noticed?
Yeah, I think that, the word I associate with Michael Penix is confidence. The guy is just confident, both physically and mentally. I think the mental aspect is actually what I appreciate about him the most, Maria. He was asked in one of these press scrums that he had about, Zach Robinson and his willingness to call plays or his wanting to kind of adapt the offense to what Michael Penix does. And Penix just says, just call the play. Call whatever you think is the best play for us to win, and we'll make it happen. That's the kind of confidence that you want to see from your quarterback. And then he has the confidence on the field to make these throws. It seems like every practice, you come away with one or two just throws that kind of make your jaw drop, and that's the kind of home run hitting ability that this Falcons offense needs if they want to really be one of the better offenses in football and lead them to the playoffs.
He has all the pieces around him for this to truly be an explosive offense. I know he threw his first interception of camp this week. He beat himself up for a long time after he threw that, Joe, so he takes this thing very seriously. Another thing that's actually really serious that perhaps we're not talking about enough, there's a kicking competition alive and well in Flowery Branch. Younghoe Koo has been hitched to the wagon of Raheem Morris for a really long time, but better turn around and look at Lenny Krieg, because here he comes. What do you think about this competition?
I'll tell you, Lenny Krieg is really, really impressive. We got to see them kick against each other for the second time on Friday, and I was standing right by the crossbar so I could see where the ball was crossing the crossbar, and Lenny Krieg on a 55-yard kick, that ball is crossing over the crossbar at the tip-top of the goalpost. Woo. On a 50-yarder, it was over the top of the goalpost. The guy has a legit leg. Having said that, I don't think Lenny Krieg can win this kicking competition.
Wow.
I think that Younghoe Koo can lose it, and that's the way that Lenny Krieg would find himself as the Falcons kicker. But as long as Younghoe Koo is the same Younghoe Koo that the team has long known before last season, that's the reliability and experience that he has an edge over Lenny Krieg, and he's just not going to be able to relinquish that job.
I like the way that you phrase it, because I still do believe, similar to you, that it's Younghoe Koo's job to lose. So should he do that in training camp, perhaps we see Lenny, but it is a very fun and fascinating competition going on. Bijan Robinson, no competition for him. There's some big personal expectations for B in year 3, but we've got the same amount of expectation that I think the entire NFL does for Bijan Robinson. He is the running back that can transform an offense, but aside from Bijan, this run game is going to be very important for the Falcons, right?
Absolutely, and I think that with Bijan, I think that he is an absolutely special talent that can be the league leader in rushing yards, and I think a lot of fans and a lot of pundits around the league are a little hesitant to kind of put him in that category, but I think it's important to remember that his longest run of his career is only 39 yards. And that's the kind of thing that can be highly variable. And I know that that is a target for the Falcons this year, is to have him have some more of those explosive touchdown runs from 50, 60 yards. That's a lot to ask for, but a player like Bijan Robinson can do it. And then he's perfectly complemented by Tyler Algier. It always has been since they've been kind of put together. But to me, I don't know about you, Maria, Tyler is looking as big and as
He looks
physical as
huge.
ever before. I think it's actually done his body a little bit of good since Bijan's been able to take some of that workload off of him the last couple of years,
Yeah.
and you can get the absolute best of both those players.
It's unbelievable to have a two-headed monster like those two at running back. Enjoy it, Falcons fans, because I think this is the last year that you get of Tyler Algier, and then eventually Bijan Robinson will have to get paid, of course. Let's talk about new defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich, his second time around with this franchise. There is a lot of buzz around the defensive side of the football, and particularly what Ulbrich is bringing to the table. These guys are bought in. How have you seen that kind of transform itself in training camp?
You can see their faces light up a little bit when they start to talk about Jeff Ulbrich and the scheme, especially coming from what they did last year. And last year, I think one of the big critiques that fans had, and I think the players, weren't as vocal about it, but I think they felt like they were overcoached a little bit, like they were instructed to be just kind of widgets that did exactly what the coach wanted. And what Jeff Ulbrich is bringing to this team is just a freedom for these defensive players. Zach Robinson called it allowing us to use our superpowers as defensive players to go out there and make plays. And that's exactly what defensive players want to do. They want to chase the quarterback. They want to go out there. We know Jesse Bates can kind of make plays by breaking off assignments. And so that's the kind of instinctiveness that he wants this defense to have. He's going to really allow these guys to, I think, play the best of their capabilities.
He said he wants them to play violently, and aggressive is the word that these guys keep using. I love that they're fired up about it. I hate to spend a little bit of time on this because I could talk about this for days. I know you could as well. Let's get to the biggest storyline in the NFL right now, Micah Parsons' situation in Dallas. It has been kind of a disaster for them. Micah Parsons wants out. Jerry Jones says, not so fast. You're staying here. What do you make of this whole scenario? And every other team in the NFL better be pining for this guy.
The situation's been totally bungled by Jerry Jones in this Cowboys front office. I mean, to let a player of Micah Parsons' ability get to this stage where he's saying that he wants out and he basically is refusing to play for the team again. We'll see if they can resolve it. I think Jerry Jones, he's saying this is just a negotiation and such, but it feels personal for Micah just based on what he's put out there on social media, obviously requesting the trade officially on Friday. And I'm sure every NFL team is going to be putting in calls to see if there's something that they can work out.
You're not smart unless you put in a call for Micah Parsons. This guy is in his prime, 26 years old and the best in the NFL as a pass rusher. Let's get into some college football conversation as our state teams began fall practice this week, believe it or not. We begin in Athens. Our Marcus Greaves and our UGA insider, Radu Nabolsi, discuss what fans can expect from the 2025 Bulldogs.
We are young. We've talked about that at media days, but we are hungry. We got a team that's fun to coach.
What are some areas that fans and folks should be excited about when it comes to this Georgia football team?
The wide receiver core is, I'm told, is night and day different than last year. A lot of turnover there, a lot of new faces, a lot of transfers that came in. They do have the playmakers.
And, that leads into my next question. So what should Georgia fans maybe be worried about or keep an extra eye on heading into this season?
Can you stop the run? Georgia couldn't stop the run. They couldn't stop passes. Teams gouged them on first down. And then there were a lot of 3rd and 1s, 3rd and 2s that the other teams converted. There were 3rd and 1s and 3rd and 2s that Georgia had that they did not convert. So one of the first questions our boy Jed May asked is, Kirby, you've talked about being able to run the ball and stopping the run. Where have you gotten on that? And Kirby talked about his philosophy. There weren't any concrete answers because he doesn't have them yet. Right. You won't know until after Marshall lost to B and then Tennessee to find out where you are and being able to run the ball when you need to and stopping it. That's the worry. That's the fear. It's the most fundamental thing in football. So we'll see if it happens.
As always, man, we appreciate you so much for being here. We're excited for another season, and should be an interesting one for the Dogs.
Thanks for having me.
Georgia's a young team. Looking forward to it. Thanks, guys. On the flats, Georgia Tech's football team has pretty big expectations this year, and they're warranted. They are positioned in that upper third of the ACC. Last season, the Jackets went 7-6 with another bowl appearance, and the majority of their playmakers have returned. Running back Jamal Haynes says he can already feel a difference with this squad.
I definitely could tell a difference. I think the biggest difference is the buy-in. Everybody's bought in, especially just from starting off in the spring with obviously the guys coming in and NIL taking a big turn. You're never gonna have the same team over the years. It's just inevitable. So just really with the new guys coming in and then us building a bond over the spring and the summer, you can definitely see the change in the program. And then on top of that, we have a great locker room. And as long as you have a great locker room, you have great people surrounded by your team, you have a great team.
I've got a feeling the Jackets are going to be dangerous this season. All right, guys, plenty to come on Sports Extra. It just took 2 days, only 2, but the Braves weekend at the racetrack ends with a W, thanks to the heroics of that guy, Eli White. Braves insider Grant McCauley, he is here. He'll join me, as well as the AJC's Gabe Burns. He was in Bristol with me. That's next. So another big weekend of golf right here on NBC and 11 Alive. Sunday, it was the final round of the Women's British Open, and the winner, Miyu Yamashita. She wins her first major title, holding off a hometown star in Charlie Hull. 4 players from Japan have won the last 9 majors in women's golf, and this was the second year there were 2 Japanese major champions. Congratulations to her. All right, so the much promoted, much anticipated baseball game at Bristol Motor Speedway did not go off without a hitch, Grant.
No, it had quite a few.
Yeah, you're shaking your head in sign because that heavy rain, it continued, and so it forced the game to be played on Sunday, but worth it for the Braves.
Yes.
A small win. The Braves win 4-2. Grant McCauley, our Braves insider, and he works for 92.9 The Game as well. He is here with me now. Grant, it looked really cool. It seemed very cool, but there were a lot of issues with this baseball game. What are your overall thoughts?
Well, I think it's always worth it if you can find a way to promote the game and to put it in front of an audience that's rabid for it. And clearly, if you got 85 or 90,000 fans there, they are. You need to make sure those fans are fed, though. That would be number one thought. But with the nachos with no cheese, the hot dogs with no buns, probably not going to do it. But
not great.
For the baseball, you could have done without the rain, but pretty amazing to see what they were able to build there and to watch this kind of a showcase that had a lot of bells and whistles. We just, again, could have done without all the rain delays and all the things that went with that.
Our sports photographer, Chris Colt, was there and did an awesome job at shooting the video and displaying just how amazing this looked like inside a racetrack. I know the guys were fired up for it. So was the manager, Brian Snicker.
It was great. It was a great atmosphere. I think it's just a shame last night. It was, if we'd had a beautiful evening last night, I think, it would have been even more exciting. But you know what? Credit to both teams' players, how they came out, and it was a tough-fought game. And them guys laid it out there, and nobody was bitching about, we got to stay here another night. And they went out. I think you saw 2 really good ball clubs going at it, and them guys on both teams, they got a lot of respect for both clubs of how they went about that game today.
Joining me right now from Bristol Motor Speedway is Gabe Burns, covering the Braves for the weekend for the AJC. Gabe, great to see you as always. This has been an unbelievable experience, not just for Braves fans, but baseball fans in general. 4 years in the making, this baseball game. Walk us through the experience of the first ever Major League Baseball game at a racetrack.
It was a lot. It was unlike anything else. They announced in attendance over 91,000 people. I think that, there were definitely some mixed experiences from some people. They ran out of food last night during the rain delay. Some people complained of parking issues. So it was a bit overwhelming for everybody, I think. But ultimately, I think MLB did a great job setting this up. I think that they picked the right 2 teams for this. It honestly, some of the atmosphere I would compare to a night game at LSU, a game down the road here in Knoxville. I mean, it had that type of SEC feel to it. And the Braves can forever say they won the first Major League game in Tennessee. And I think that's pretty cool, especially since they consider this, pretty in the heart of Braves country.
Yeah, the visuals were incredible. Unfortunately, some things did go wrong, but of course they can learn from that if they decide to do this again. And you mentioned it, Braves in victory lane, thanks in large part to the rookie Hurston Waldrop on the hill. You talk about logistics. This was a kid who was supposed to pitch in AAA today, but instead his 2025 debut was in Tennessee at the Speedway Classic. How significant was this outing for Hurston?
Well, I mean, it's great for him. I mean, he's needed something like this to kind of, really put himself back on the radar, kind of have a spark. This team's looking for rotation options. I mean, he's sitting here and he's pitching and he's going, this is a tryout for me. This is an audition. This is a chance for me to earn another look. And considering the circumstances, he had to literally race to get here to pitch in this game. And how about picking up your very first Major League win in a NASCAR venue?
Let's talk about Austin Riley. He stretched out to tag Ellie De La Cruz in a rundown. It was an incredible play, but then he left the game with some lower abdominal pain. This is something that Austin has had to deal with before, and as of Sunday afternoon, very much a wait-and-see thing for Austin. How much do the Braves need to avoid losing Austin to the IL for a second time this summer?
Well, I mean, it would be a huge bummer. And Snit said they're going to give it a day or two and see, but I think right now we're fearing that he will need some more time on the IL. Even if he avoids it, the fact that there was a scare here, it just kind of sums up this season, right? It's another feather in the cap of the 2025 Braves.
Eli White, who would have thought this guy would have a multi-homer game? He's a part of a trivia question now. He's the first major leaguer to hit a home run in a racetrack ever in the history of the sport. What is the significance of a game like this from Eli?
I think it's really cool because we have 90,000 people in a place. The majority of them are going to be casual followers. Unless you're, a hardcore Braves fan, you probably don't know who Eli White is. So it's actually a really cool moment for a guy who's grinded through multiple organizations. I think it's really neat that he got this moment, that he got this national attention, that he got to enjoy it. It's his second career multi-homer game. His first came in June of 2021 when it was his first career homer and his second career homer. So to have one here, that's pretty freaking cool for him.
One of the weirdest baseball seasons that I've covered during my time in Atlanta, and it is now summarized in a multi-homer game by Eli White at Bristol Motor Speedway. Gabe, thank you so much. Great job reporting out there.
No problem, Maria. Thank you.
All right, back here with Grant McCauley now. Grant, a really quiet trade deadline for the Braves. I know fans kind of upset about that, but perhaps there were no moves to be made for Alex Anthopoulos. What do you think about the trade deadline?
Yeah, the silence was very loud, I think, for the Braves in this particular case because it felt like they had some pieces that they could trade, but I didn't think that they were able to find the takers that they needed for it. So ultimately, as Alex Anthopoulos laid it out, we're not going to pay our guys to go play somewhere else and get nothing for them. That I don't think should surprise anybody because when is the last time the Braves have done that? The answer is never. I'm skipping ahead to let you know. It's just not the way they think. Now, could they or should they have gotten something for at least Raisel Iglesias? I think there's a very strong case to be made. I don't know what the offers were, but I'm sure teams called and acquired. They may not have liked what exactly it was being offered. And ultimately, it takes two teams to make a deal, as cliched as that sounds,
It's true,
and the Braves just didn't find a taker.
And Alex Anthopoulos says that a lot of times
He
is
does.
that you need another trade partner in order to make something happen. Let's go really quickly with this last part that there's only been 7,000 injuries to this Braves baseball team this year. It's been very frustrating to the rotation, to different stars that have been struggling. Is there any chance of these guys turning it around this year?
No, but I think that in the final couple of months, there are some things that you can do to get yourself set up for the winter. And that's what I asked Alex Anthopoulos about after the trade deadline. What are you looking for this winter? How pivotal, how important is it? And it's very. And he said, look, our offseason basically starts now. The discussions do anyway. They weren't going to make all the moves at the trade deadline they need to make, but it let them have some discussions. And obviously there'll be a free agent component to that as well. And we'll see. But I think it's pivotal, crucial, important across the board for the Braves to make some big decisions for 2026.
What an important offseason it will be, but we're not there quite yet. We are going to get to Grant's Game Changers on the other side of the break. Stay with us. If we're over here and you see this guy, you know it is Grant's Game Changers, and they need a lot of game changing, the Braves. Wow, yeah, take a deep breath. We are going to start with somebody who honestly has surprised us all, mostly because he's keeping this rotation afloat. Let's start with Spencer Strider. Why is this guy your game changer?
Yeah, well, somebody's going to have to be changing the game for this starting rotation because when we came into the season, it was a starting five that looked capable, and you had the boost of maybe getting Spencer Strider back. You get Spencer Strider back, and somehow by the time you get to August, he's the last man standing. But he has done some great things over the past, I want to say, 9 starts. First 5, 0-5, ERA nearly 5.5. Last 9 starts, 5 wins, ERA under 3, over nearly 70 strikeouts in just over 50 innings. It looks like Spencer Strider again, and you're going to need that over the final 6-7 weeks of the season. You might get Chris Sale back. You might get Spencer Schwellenbach back. You might get Reynaldo Lopez back, but you got to have this guy going on all 8 cylinders to close out this year with some semblance of order in the rotation.
If there's anybody that can do it, it's definitely Spencer Strider, and that's a lot of might. But
a lot of maybe.
He's a guy that definitely could provide some spark for your starting rotation. Let's move over to a guy who you look at him and you just think, wow, potential rookie of the year loading for Drake Baldwin. I just kind of said it, but why is he your game changer?
Well, this is a kid that's come in and he's made the most of an opportunity. When you looked at spring training, Drake Baldwin's name probably not going to be on your opening day roster when you're doing those projections, but one bad pitch and Sean Murphy taking one off the ribs open the door, and all Drake Baldwin has done is walk right through and seize this opportunity. Batting .282, 11 home runs, 41 runs batted in 79 games. He does have, I think, the inside track on Rookie of the Year right now, which could be very beneficial to the Braves because there is a compensation pick attached to that now. So he needs plenty of at-bats over the final 6 or 7 weeks. Even with Marcell Ozuna not moving, I still think we see this guy more than not at DH or behind the plate.
Sometimes you only need just one chance, and he has certainly gotten that opportunity and made the most of it. We love to see Drake Baldwin shine. Another guy who is shining, and certainly at the right time, if there ever was one for this Braves team right now, this guy, all the antics on the field, but wow, he has turned a corner in the second half of the year. Why is Michael Harris your game changer?
Well, I think better late than never for the guy they call Money Mike. And you just knew the talent was in there. And I go into every season thinking this is a breakout candidate. And when I mean that, it's because he has the talent to do it. But he has raised his batting average 33 points in the last 3 weeks.
Wow.
The extra base hits are coming, and he looks more comfortable after the plate adjustment at the plate. His swing adjustment, his stance is looking more like his 2022 version. So I think those changes have him propelled for a very good close to a very challenging season.
Small change at the plate means big things for Money Mike, and big things from Grant McCauley. Grant, thank you so much. We're going to wrap things up after the break. Maria's Minute tonight, let's discuss whether or not starters should play in an NFL preseason game. It's Falcons head coach Raheem Morris's philosophy that they shouldn't, and I argue that they should, but only for a series or two. I'll put a caveat in there. I think it depends on which starters we're talking about. Do I think it's worth it to have guys like Bijan Robinson, Jesse Bates, and Jake Matthews out there? I don't, but guys that you're essentially auditioning for how they fit, like Arnold Ebiketie, you bet. The way that the Falcons' regular season schedule is structured as well, they don't really have the luxury of waiting for things to click this year. There's absolutely nothing like real game reps in football. Raheem Morris shut down Michael Penix Jr. early in preseason last year, and remember, he was just the backup then. Oh, new Falcon Leonard Floyd probably feels a certain way about the preseason. He got hurt last year with the 49ers during it, but you would like to see some of these starters, and definitely not in every game. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching Sports Extra each and every Sunday. Remember, the Falcons play the Detroit Lions on Friday. Football is back, everyone. Have a fabulous week.